Hi, my name is Mike. Thanks for joining me today on my channel, Technically Church, where I share over 20 years of experience in audio, video, lighting, and multimedia. You can always find out more on my website at technicallychurch.com. Let's jump in. So let's talk about configuring this top right section on the Behringer Wing. The Behringer Wing is really powerful in that you can control every single section, parameter, button, and page on this board and essentially configure it however you want. One thing that I found hard to figure out is how to use this top right section on the Behringer Wing. There's 4 buttons, 4 knobs up here that at face value I couldn't figure out how to use. So the way that Behringer intends you to use it, you have settings for the gain, phantom power, the gate, compressor, and filter up here. So if you were to go on this far right section down here and you would press inputs and you would press your, select your input here. Essentially what's going to happen is you can run all the inputs of this board on these 4 faders. It's a little tough to do, but you could do it. Now this center section, or the right section up here, would actually correspond to those channels down here. So you would have access to the gain for that channel, to the gate, the compressor, and the filter using these buttons and knobs up here. Now, I would typically be running my DCAs or mains in this section. So it's not hugely helpful in that scenario to use this. So you do have the F keys, F1, F2, and F3. So here's how this works. So what I've essentially done is I've set up 4 of my faders that are not on a normal layer that I want to see all the time. These are my pastor's mics. I've got 2 ear mics, I've got a handheld mic, and I've got our computer which has music on it. So those are always displayed here while I'm running the band down here because there's not enough room. So I have access to the mutes and I have access to the fader volume in addition to feedback on the screen. So how this works, by default is not set up. So you got to go to Setup and you got to go to Surface, and then there's an option here, use F1 through F3 as custom controls. You want to turn that on. Now what's going to happen is your F1, F2, and F3 buttons here correspond to the first 4 settings on this section's layers 1 through 3. So they do have to share, but you do have 99 layers here to use. So your first 3 layers in this section are going to now correspond to F1, 2, and 3 here. So in this section, if I hit this view button, this is how you get to the settings. So I hit view here on page 1, and the parameters that I set up here are going to show up under F1 here. So these first 4 parameters, you assign what you want the knobs and buttons to correspond with, and they will show up here. They in addition will show up on page 1 here. So if you're going to use this independently, you might want to set up your first 3 pages to correspond to your F1, 2, and 3 here. And then if you want to use this for something different, you just go to page 4 and set that up. And now you have completely independent controls here and here. Thanks for joining me today. Again, my name is Mike. You can always find out more on my website, technicallychurch.com, or on my YouTube channel, Technically Church. Look forward to seeing you soon.